Hey guys, it's Will here down at 40k Gaming. Got another Batrep for you tonight. Going back to just a standard 2,000 point maelstrom mission tonight. Last few weeks been doing a few other things like Conor missions and Taylor 4 Gamers. We're just running a standard game tonight. First time actually running Space Marines vs Chaos as a standard game in this edition, so should be very interesting to see how it goes. Sam's brought his Iron Warriors again, and I've got my Salamanders, and I'm looking forward to testing out my Storm Raven. First time I've run it in this edition, and rumour has it that Storm Ravens are really good, so should be interesting to see how he goes. Definitely one to watch there. But yeah, with Sam's track record of basically beating me every time we Batrep a game this edition, it's going to be an uphill struggle. So anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at the armies. Okay then, so here's my 2,000 points of Salamanders. I'm still not sure what the optimum build for this army is going to be, but I'm trying a few things out, see what works. Starting off with my Warlord down here. He is a captain, just focusing on him, there we go. He's got Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. For his Warlord trait we've got Anvil of Strength to give him +1 to his... no, it's not Anvil of Strength. I went for Storm of Fire in the end, which gives units within 6 inches of him -1 AP if they roll a 6 to hit. And then for his relic, got the Salamander Mantle, so he's got +1 toughness. Backing him up, I've got a Librarian. He's got a Force Staff, and I think Null Zone and Might of Heroes were the powers I went for. Got a Dreadnought, Multi-Melter, Storm Bolter, pretty standard pattern, and a unit of 5 Terminators, again pretty standard loadout with the Flamer there. And that will all be riding in my Storm Raven. First time using this in this edition. Heard very good things about how they do, so yeah, it'd be good to get this out on the table. We've got the Multi-Melter and the Assault Cannons on there. Then for troops, got 4 tactical squads, 5-man squad with a Flamer, Combi Flamer in a Heavy Bolter Razorback, 5-man squad Melter, Combi Melter in a Heavy Bolter Razorback, 10-man squad Flamer, Combi Flamer, Heavy Bolter in a Rhino, and then 10-man squad on foot with Plasma Gun and Plasma Cannon. Then sweeping back over here, we've got my my heavy supports. No fast attacks in this list tonight. I've got a 5-man Devastator squad with all las cannons, and then a Predator with the Predator autocannon and the Sponson las cannons and the Storm Bolter on the top. There we go. 2,000 points of Salamanders, 1 battalion, 6 command points. And here's Sam's Iron Warriors. This is exactly the same list as he ran in our last game, and he was victorious then, so it's boding well for him. Starting off with a Spearhead detachment, got a Chaos Lord down there. He's got the Power Sword and Bolt Pistol, not much else. Then he's got Havocs, 5 of them with 4 autocannons. And the Obliterators. These have got better in the Codex, they got some extra shots off, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they can repeat their performance from the last game. Then 2 Forge Fiends with the Hades autocannons and the Ectoplasma cannons in the mouth. And then 2 Vindicators that were a bit of a surprise in the last game, how well they did, so let's see if they can repeat that. And then over here we've got a battalion to make out his 2,000 points. It's got a Demon Prince, and this guy has got the relic, which in this mission is the Flesh Metal Exoskeleton, and that is really quite handy. Then he's got his Sorcerer with the Force Sword, 10 Cultists, 10 Chaos Marines, Melter, Combi Melter, 8 Chaos Marines, Melter, Combi Melter. Both of those squads have got Rhinos. And then finally a Hellbrute with the Plasma Cannon and the Fist. So yeah, this was a tough army to crack last time with all this heavy support, and now it's yeah, going to see how it gets on against the Salamanders. Right, so we're all deployed now. Mission we rolled up tonight is Deadlock, so start with 6 objective cards and the number gradually reduces over the course of the game. And we've gone for the frontline assault deployment, so stuff to the front of the middle of the deployment zone can go a bit further forward, but that's okay because the stuff I've kept further back either is very fast or very long range, like the Devastators. Sam's clustered the vast majority of his army over here around the two objectives he's got, one there and one there, with the Obliterators in reserves, and then just a lone Rhino and Vindicator hanging out to guard that objective, which could prove quite annoying because I'm going to have to divert something to deal with them because they're hidden behind a rock. Cultists are there, it's kind of an expendable screen, and he's got his Hellbrute right to the front. The Warlord is in that Rhino there, the Chaos Lord in the Rhino, and the Sorcerer's in there as well with the smaller squad. Bigger squad's over to that side, and the DP is in the middle. I've got my Devastators actually here. It's the Plasma squad that are there, and the Predator. Obviously the Dreadnought and the Terminators and characters are all riding in the Stormraven. Anyway, I'm at the moment going first, because with all these transports I got my drops down quite quickly. But Sam, would you like to seize the initiative? It's a 1. He would not like to seize the initiative tonight. Here we go. Space Marine, turn 1. So started my turn with a good mixed bunch of objectives. Got Secure 6 and 1, Defend 6, Domination, Area Denial and Overwhelming Firepower, and a real desire to get First Blood, because I know if I don't get it, he will. So to get Objective 6, which was over here, I originally tried to advance my Razorback, even used a command point to re-roll its advance move, but didn't get anywhere near it, which meant I had to push up the Predator 11 inches to get to it, which nerfed its shooting later on in the game, but it did mean I scored 6 and the Razorback was grabbing me 1, so that's a nice couple of points. Area Denial, I was only going to get the 1 point. I had to kill both the both the Vindicator and the Hellbrute to get the D3. And I shot my Stormraven down here to get my Terminators and Dreadnought in range for next turn. That then led off the shooting. Assault Cannon into the Havocs and killed 2 of them, and the missiles and the multi-melter into the Vindicator, which left it on a single wound. The multi-melters had a really mixed bag. It seemed like everything I rolled for this turn was either a 6 or a 1, so quite a lot of variation, but we got the job done in the end. Tried to finish the Vindicator off with the plasma cannon from this squad, but it failed to hit actually. Rolled 1 for its shot and then 2 to hit, so it didn't hit. And then the Predator opened up on the Hellbrute because it couldn't see the Vindicator, but because it had moved, it was hitting on 4s, and I just rolled a whole bunch of 3s, nothing but 3s. That then meant the Devastators had to finish the job on the Vindicator, and also try and hurt the Hellbrute. Basic plan was fire 2 at the Vindicator, which worked, and 2 at the Hellbrute, which did just 2 points of damage. So not great, but we got the First Blood, we got the Overwhelming Firepower, and we did something useful. And then over here we managed to take off 3 cultists from the fire and the Razorback, and then another one fled from leadership. So that means this turn I've got 6 and 1, so score 6, score 1, Overwhelming Firepower, and Area Denial for 1. I'm going to discard Domination. And that is that. 5 points off the bat with the First Blood. Let's see how the Forces of Chaos respond. So start of the Iron Warrior's turn, and Sam felt his objectives weren't very good, and I'm inclined to agree with him. A lot of them involved securing objectives in my half of the board. So instead he just did what he could and tried to maximise damage and deal with that Stormraven. So the Demon Prince moved up to the Stormraven, Vindicator stayed where it was, Rhino moved down the flank. Most of this stuff stayed still, although the Sorcerer did disembark from the Rhino there, as did the Chaos Lord, and the Hellbrute pushed forward. Psychic Phase saw him get off 2 copies of Smite from both his Sorcerer and his Demon Prince on the Stormraven, but then rolled 1 for each of them, so only 2 hull points there, and then did Prescience onto that Forge Fiend to give it rerolls to hit, or reroll 1s to hit. Yeah, that was pretty good Psychic Phase there. Shooting didn't quite go so well. The Vindicator, Rhino, both Forge Fiends, oh no, one of the Forge Fiends and the Havocs all targeted the Stormraven, but thanks to a combination of poor rolls to hit and some really lucky armour saves, it didn't take any damage in the shooting phase, which is just sheer luck, sheer cheese. He also, he had his Obliterators come down here at the end of the movement phase, just 9 inches from here and 9 inches from here. They opened up on the Devastators, and despite only getting a 1 for their armour penetration, still managed to kill off 3 of them, so that's pretty good. They did subsequently pass the leadership test though. And the Hellbrute's Plasma Cannon killed 1 from this squad here. Then, this Hellbrute shot for Forge Fiend, shot for the Rhino, and put 3 hull points onto their, or 2 hull points, and then 1 from the Rhino. I think it took 3 in total. But yeah, so it certainly did some damage, but not as much as he would have liked. But then the Hellbrute charged in and had a great time of it. It smashed up the Rhino, caused the Rhino to explode, killing 2 of the guys inside, another 2 members of this squad, 1 from this squad, and putting a wound on the Predator, for obviously no damage in return, so good work there. I then didn't move my guys too far away, so when he consolidated, he just consolidated into them. And thanks to having wings, the Demon Prince was able to charge my Stormraven, and he did really well. Put 6 wounds onto it with his big old sword there. So and took no damage on Overwatch. So that was really good. And the Stormraven is now not looking so good. It's degraded. It's down to less than half wounds. But points-wise, all he scored was Objective 2, which is over there. No, it's that one there. And Supremacy, because he's holding 3 objectives, because Supremacy is now just 3 objectives. But then he rolled just a single point for the D3 on that, so not a great start. Only 2 wounds, 2 points scored, but he's taken out a lot of my infantry, badly beaten up my Stormraven, and I got a Hellbrute in my face. Forgot to mention his massive command point use that turn. Started up by using 2 to discard a card he didn't like, but that didn't seem to help his card situation too much. Got a reroll to hit for something, and these guys rerolled their AP, which still only got a 1 despite the reroll. Used Demon Forge on there and rerolled one of the dice for the charge on the Hellbrute. So the big damage there was thanks to a lot of rerolls. But in this game, where command points get more expensive from turn 3 onwards, you might as well use them early and make the most of them. So this turn I drew Assassinate, Scour the Skies, Behind Enemy Lines, Defend 5 and Defend 4. I also had a Secure 5 which I discarded because actually should have discarded the Defend, but discarded that one, which got me the Defend 4. So to Defend 4 I pushed up both these tanks after disembarking their infantry. These guys went up to here. He needs a leadership, yes. He makes it somehow. So they shot the cultists, killed all bar 1 of them, he then passed his leadership. These guys got out behind to be my Defend 4 and hoping that the Rhinos will protect them. And these guys came out over here and shot for the Obliterators and did really well actually. The 2 Flamers and the round of Bolters killed 1 Obliterator. Another one died to the fire of the las cannons. And then the Predator shot for him and did diddly squat. Couldn't even hit him. So not so good. The big action was over here. The Dreadnought, Captain, Librarian and Terminators all disembarked. Dreadnought went over to take out the Vindicator, did a couple of wounds to it with shooting, and then smashed it up in assaults. The Librarian tried to smite put Might of Heroes on the Captain, thought about smiting the Demon Prince, but decided to go for a Null Zone instead, which I cast on an 8, but he dispelled it on a 9. Stormraven flew over here and had a pretty poor round of shooting actually. Now it's at -1 to hit. It just couldn't seem to really do its job. Missed the Obliterator despite using a command reroll, and did a little bit of damage to the Forge Fiend in the end, but not as much as I would have liked with the Storm Strikes and Assault Cannons. Other than that, the squads down here ganged up, these two squads ganged up on the Hell Brute and finished it off in a storm of plasma and crack missiles. Melter squad just stepped back. And yeah, then to finish it off in the assault phase, Terminators, Captain, Librarian all charged the Demon Prince. I thought that's going to be more than enough. The Captain's got Mitre Heroes on him, Terminator's got Power Fists, re-rolling ones to hit. But they couldn't do it. They just couldn't get enough hits despite the rerolls. Did eventually, once everyone had swung in what I thought would have been overkill, left him with a single wound. Sam's saves weren't great, to be fair. It was my rolls to hit that were nasty, nasty, nasty. Demon Prince swung back, did one hit that wounded the Librarian for 3 damage. Again, not as much damage as expected. This could have been a lot more brutal. But points-wise, got D3 3 units behind enemy lines for D3. That gets me 2. Scour the Skies I'm obviously going to hold because I want to kill the Demon Prince as Assassinate. Defend 5 is going to be my one to discard, and I'm going to hold Defend 4. So just 2 points this turn, but we're in a pretty good position, I think. Some of his most threatening units like that Hell Brute and the Vindicators are gone. But we shall see, because he has just started to take his turn, and this squad's with the melter guns has disembarked, so I think my Dreadnought's about to be in trouble. So Sam was very aggressive this turn, trying to maximise the damage on some of my key units. So he pushed forward, these guys disembarked, as did the... oh no, the Captain already disembarked last turn, and the Chaos Squad from that Rhino disembarked. Ready to take out the Dreadnought with their melter guns. In the Psychic phase, he started off by putting Prescience on one of his Forge Fiends, but failed. He then attempted to smite the Stormraven with the Sorcerer there, but that was dispelled by the Librarian. But then the Demon Prince smited the Librarian. He could do nothing about it. The Librarian can save others from smite, but apparently not himself. Shooting phase, the Chaos Squad, I don't know why I'm focusing on it because there's nothing there anymore. They shot the Dreadnought with Melter and Crack Grenade and blew the Dreadnought up. The ensuing explosion killed a member of their squad, but it also killed a Terminator and a half, put 3 wounds on the Captain, but most importantly killed his Demon Prince. Now that was really big for the game because I was holding Scour the Skies and Assassinate. So, interestingly, I didn't destroy them. It was my exploding vehicle. So I'll have to look into whether I score them. Can definitely score them in my turn, but I'm not sure if it actually counts because I didn't blow them up. But we shall have to debate that in a moment. Other than that, the cultists and the majority of this Chaos Squad shot for the combat squad that were there, killed all bar one of them, and he then subsequently fled. But his sacrifice will not be forgotten because that distracted them from shooting at these guys here, which meant I could score Defend 4. The other Forge Fiend, that Forge Fiend there, and the 2 Melter Guns shot for the Stormraven, but again some pretty poor rolls to hit, and the lucky 6 to save from an Ectoplasma hit meant that I only took 2 wounds with the Stormraven, so it is still up and good to go. And then the Havocs and the other Forge Fiend shot the Terminators and killed another one of them, leaving me with just 2 Terminators and the Captain from that original strike force. The Chaos Space Marines then attempted to finish them off in the assault phase, charging at the Terminators. The Captain did a heroic intervention. He did 5 wounds to the Terminators, but I got lucky and saved them all. And then the Power Fists and Thunderhammer wiped them out. Real good roll of wounds there, cut them all down, and so that's pretty great actually, because those guys, I think it took leadership to finish them off. They had 2 guys left who then fled. So yeah, that was pretty reliable. Oh, sorry, Sam's reminded me, no one fled. They did just all die from Thunderhammer hits. Captain got a bit lucky with his roll to hits, but hey, that's Salamanders. We're reliable like that. So, Sam did get a couple of points this turn. He got psychological warfare for the fleeing over there, and he killed my Librarian for Assassinate. But he's still not getting great cards. And we double check the wording on these cards, so I do score those points. Also get defend 4, which is worth 2, so that was actually a really high scoring turn for me. Some pretty good luck there. Things are going my way, but it's not over yet. Here we go with Salamander, turn 3. So we're in front, but it's not over yet. We need to take out some of the most threatening targets and grab some points. So I drew Master of the Warp this turn, so that's obviously getting discarded because my librarian's already gone. And then I've got no prisoners and need to focus on objective 3. No prisoners will just come naturally from kills. Objective 3 was over here, so I moved up my Terminators and my Captain, who put a few hits on the Rhino. The Captain actually failed his charge, but then the Terminator Sergeant did 3 wounds with his Power Sword, and then the Foul Fist guy didn't do any damage, so, you know, how's that for logic? Other than that, the badly damaged Storm Raven moved over here, but still had enough firepower left to put some hurt on both Forge Fiends, although it took the Predator to finish off the one Forge Fiend that I did wipe out there. The Storm Raven wasn't up to the task, and neither was the Plasma Cannon here. Other than that, this little squad here, the survivors from the Hellbrutes' earlier assault, finished off the last Obliterator. And these squads here took out a few from that Chaos squad, but not enough to make them fail morale. And the Razorback finished off that last Cultist. So with the death of the Cultist, the Obliterators, and the Forge Fiend, that got me enough for no prisoners on the D3. So that's worth another 3 points there. So it's been a really good game on dice for me today. It really has. I'm not going to lie. But my army's done its job, that's for sure. So let's see if the Iron Warriors can still salvage something from this in Chaos, turn 3. So once again, Sam's objectives weren't to his favour. He had 2 copies of Secure Objective 1, as well as Big Game Hunter and Objective 3, which is over there. So not a lot he could do about 3 or 1, but Big Game basically meant taking out the Storm Raven. And as you can see, it has gone. It took the fire of the Havocs to bring it down to just 2 wounds left. And then, because he didn't want to risk it, he fired the whole Forge Fiend at it. He'd attempted to prescience it earlier to try and ensure it, but that didn't quite work. But it turned out the Ectoplasm took it before the Hades autocannons even got to fire. But so that was a little bit disappointing on his part that he didn't get to shoot something else. But the Storm Raven is gone, and that scores in Big Game Hunter and gets my most powerful asset off the table. Other than that, fire from here, put some wounds onto the Rhino and killed one of these guys. But then the Rhino went down in the assault phase to the combined assault of the Chaos Lord and the Sorcerer. Once again, putting power swords through Rhinos seems to work. And over here, he just backed this Rhino out of combat because he didn't want to give me another turn to swing at it. But yeah, still not great, but for the Iron Warriors. But the Storm Raven's gone, and he's got a force here that could certainly counterpunch me on this flank. Although I think this flank is basically lost. But discarded Objective 1, and we go into Salamander, turn 4. Okay cards for me this turn. I can pretty much make sure I get 3 by blowing that Rhino up. But I drew Advance, which I'm not going to try and do because I don't want to move my heavy stuff out of my deployment zone. So the Predator was trying to finish off that Forge Fiend over there. He could just see it. But all the autocannons bounced off and the las cannons missed. It was a pretty poor showing from the Predator there. But other units had more success. This squad here managed to get one of their melter guns to line a sight on the Sorcerer, and that put 2 wounds on him before the flamers from this squad finished him off. That meant the plasma cannon from over here could now target the Chaos Lord because he was the closest visible model. That put, originally was going to be 2 wounds on there because overcharged, but his Warlord trait allowed him to save one of those, so he's still got 5 left. And this squad here would have liked to target him, but the Rhino was closer, so we couldn't. Instead we went for the Chaos Space Marine squad and did a whole load of nothing before the Razorback killed off just the 1. So not great for shooting, really feeling the loss of the Storm Raven here. But then the Captain and Terminators charged in, and the Captain didn't even need the Terminator support. Smashed the Rhino to secure me Objective 3. And luckily for me it didn't blow, because an explosion there could have wiped everyone there out. So another point, hopefully get the defend one next turn, but discarding advance. And but there's still some Chaos threat. You know, he's got a Chaos Lord who'll probably get a charge off. That Forge Fiend is basically at full health and could still do some serious damage. So pretty quick turn for Chaos there. The only real movement was the Chaos Lord and the Rhino pushing forward. The Forge Fiend shot for the tactical squad with the melter weapons and wiped them out pretty easily, to be honest. The Rhino tried to shoot these guys, but they had really poor rolls to hit actually, and then the one wound bounced off. But the Chaos squad there put 2 wounds on the tactical squad that were there. Havoc's tried to shoot the Terminators, but only did 2 wounds, both of which bounced off their Terminator armour. And then finally the Chaos Lord charged into the survivors of the tactical squad who were packing Flamers. Those Flamers proceeded to do 2 wounds to him after saves, but he did cut them down. Unfortunately, thanks to another turn of really unachievable cards, he had 6 and 3, which were here and here on the very much the side of the board I'm dominating. He couldn't score anything, but yeah, Salamander turn 5 now. Let's see if we can finish these guys off. So time to put the final nail in the coffin on what has been a very dominant game for the Salamanders. The Chaos Lord was standing out in the open after his assault from last turn, so the Plasma Cannon from here shot him, wounded, saved on his invuln. Las Cannon, hit, wound, saved on his invuln. Predator Las Cannons finally just got enough wounds to finish him off. So that's Warlord. Didn't do much else, but Sam's decided to call it at that point because for a nice change, it's been a dominating performance from the Salamanders. Iron Warriors haven't scored anything for about 3 turns. I've just Bagsied Supremacy, which has got me another D3, which is another 3. Okay, yeah, that was a really good performance. Yeah, the dice and the cards, everything just fell my way, and a glorious victory for the forces of the Imperium.
Alrighty then, a glorious victory for the Salamanders, and my first win against Sam for a very long time. I think it's only the second time I beat him in 8th edition, and we play most weeks, so yeah, it's nice to pick up a win. Now, when we were playing the game, it did feel a little bit like Sam was getting diced a bit. But looking back over it, I think actually we both had a mix of good and bad luck with the dice. I think it just, yeah, it just sometimes falls that way. But I think the real difference maker was the cards. Sam got so unlucky with the cards compared to how I did. So yeah, sorry about that, mate. The cards just didn't fall for you today. But hey, still made for an interesting game. I think it's particularly in the early turns when with that deadlock mission you get loads of cards at the start. If you get good cards to start with, then you can really get on a roll, and that's what I did. But I think I'm starting to get a closer idea of how I want my Salamanders sort of list to really work in this edition, because I've got so much stuff and kind of need to test it all out. But I think the Storm Raven did brilliantly today. The ability to you know, really sort of get key units into position, but while also having a fair amount of firepower itself, combined with a little bit of luck in surviving some of the shooting. But you know, the -1 to hit and the 16 or 14 or something like that wound certainly helps with that. You know, it got the right units into the right place at the right time to do the right job. So really pleased with how the Storm Raven turned out. Definitely be running that again sometime soon. Maybe try a few different units inside it to see what works. The other thing was just transports in general, and the manoeuvrability of the army worked well. I mean, it's one thing to have cards that you can score, but you need to have the manoeuvrability to take them. And I think although rhinos aren't quite as essential as and such an auto-include as they were in the previous editions, I still quite like you know, having the majority of my troops in transports, because you can just get them to where they need to be. And with Salamanders, you know, the chapter tactics as well suits small squads, multiple small squads that have like a special or heavy weapon in them. So combat squads in Razorbacks or 2 combat squads in a Rhino. worked very nicely with that, I think. So yeah, I'm starting to see where I'm going with that. But yeah, that's all for tonight. Thanks again to Sam for a good game, and sorry the cards didn't fall for you, but better luck next time. And I thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.